It's no shock to anyone that after Football Manager 24 has been out for about 2 years now with no kind of new game ahead of it, it's got to the point where for a lot of people it's became a little bit stale. Obviously that's going to happen with a game that's out for so long, but a lot of you guys out there are still playing FM and might just want a way of freshening it up a little bit, and hopefully this video will give you some ideas for that. I'm going to look at 5 ways that you can make your FM save more enjoyable, ways to get back into the game, some of which will require some add-ons, but also I know some of you won't want to do that and go out and download mods. So some of these can just be done in-game. Now, nothing here is going to be totally groundbreaking you never heard of, but I think if you implement at least one of these ideas, you'll definitely find yourself getting back into FM the way that I have recently by doing some of these things in the video. If you do go on to enjoy it, smash the like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well for all the FM content that you don't want to miss. And let me know in the comments what you've done to make FM enjoyable for you recently. What save have you got into? What are you currently running? Are you doing a 50-year save? Are you moving club every season? Whatever it might be, get involved down below, get that engagement going. But with that being said, let's take a look at the first and most basic way that you can get FM feeling a bit more fresh. Now, this is something that I have preached many a time to anyone that I know that plays FM, both in real life and in the videos, and it's all about getting out your comfort zone. I mean, you'll see here's a team that I've picked out randomly in the Bulgarian divisions called PFC Arda Kardzali. I know nothing about this team, to be totally honest with you, but that is what makes FM fun. I could go out there and manage Chelsea, the team that I've got in this save currently. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You can manage Real Madrid, PSG, your local club. For me, that would be Leicester. Whatever it is, you can go out and do it. Of course you can. But when you know about the teams and you know about the Premier League and the Champions League and La Liga, it takes away from it a little bit. Obviously, that's great for your first few saves, but at this point, if you found yourself getting stale with the game, totally branch out. Go to a different continent. Go to, I don't know, Fluminense in Brazil. Suddenly you've got a whole new target to aim for, a whole new continent of trophies to win. But also, the thing that I think a lot of people underestimate is how much more fun FM is when you don't know the players. Because obviously now, if I'm with this team or if I'm with that Bulgarian side, realistically, I can't go out and sign, Naipan, Lamine Yamal for 20 million, whatever it might be. The players that you normally go for won't be available. The players that you might even go for in the lower levels of England that you might have tried, you can't go for. You've got to go for a completely new bunch of players. I'd have to approach this team in a totally different way to one where I already know the players, I know who I want to get rid of, and I know who I want to sign. You're going to have to start from scratch. It's one of the best things you can do in Football Manager. Step out your comfort zone, try a new save, and see if that gets you back into it. But if that seems a little bit too much for you and you'd like to stick with the teams you know, but you still want it to feel fresh, then why not add your own restrictions in game? We all know about teams like Bilbao that have restrictions put on them in a game which makes it more challenging, like they can only sign players from the Basque region, and there's plenty of them out in world football, but you're not just limited to these clubs, because you can self-impose some of these challenges on yourself. Like with West Ham here, as part of a rebuild that I did recently, I completely flipped the script, and instead of doing what I usually do, signing the world's best young players, developing them, selling them for a profit, and in turn help make my team bigger and better, instead I banned myself from doing that, and I said I could only sign players over the age of 30. It led to a really fun save where if you have a look at our team that I've built after 5 years, it's totally different to the kind of team you'd normally build. I mean, there's a few players still here under 30 that we've had from the start, but instead of buying your Naipans in the midfield that I mentioned earlier, we've had to resort for the likes of Ruben Loftus-Cheek at 33 years of age and Rodrigo Bentancur let go on a free from Spurs. It's a completely different side to what I'd normally build, but it added to the drama and it added to the fun. It made it harder, it made it more interesting, and it kept it feeling fresh. Now, you're not limited to just doing old players. You could say I'm only signing players from Bulgaria that we looked at earlier with that Bulgarian team. I mean, you could do it with an English team if you wanted to, only sign English players, whatever you want to try. Obviously, the board could get annoyed at you like they did in this West Ham save where they kept wanting me to sign players under the age of 23, but if you're being successful with your team, they'll probably forgive something as small as that. But there's ways you can implement these kind of things in game, adding extra challenges. I've done one recently where I made ChatGPT pick which players I bought. It just adds to the game a little bit, makes it feel a little bit less stale. Like I say, we've all bought the same players at this point, so doing something like this can really help mix it up. Way number 3 you can make your game fresh is by not being a manager at all. Instead, you can be a director of football. Now, this is something I really want them to implement, and many people do in the new Football Manager game, but I doubt it will ever happen. But it's something you can kind of work it into yourself, where you aren't a manager of a team and you are just the director focusing on signing players. I'll quickly run you through it, how to do it now, but I'll leave a link in the description of a video I did where it gives you all the details on how you can do it. But pretty simply, you're manager of a club when you start, let's say like here at West Ham, and you want to go ahead and make sure that you've got a good assistant manager in place, whether you go out and hire them yourself. Kenny Brown is my assistant here, or maybe you want to cheat a little bit, use the editor in game to pick a manager that you'd really want to manage West Ham and build a team for them. So in this case, I don't know, let's say we really wanted Graham Potter, you could go out and make him the assistant manager using the editor of West Ham United. Then you go to responsibilities and you hand everything over to him. Match play in terms of who manages the matches themselves, everything from training, media work, you can hand it all over and give it to your assistant to do. And then with them handling all that, you can focus on transfers, simulate seasons, and only be the director of football, maybe even switching the manager out when you get bored and think they're not doing a good enough job. Like in this case, Kenny Brown, he's actually the head of youth development, I've just noticed that, but let's assume he was the assistant manager. Imagine this is, I don't know, Pep Guardiola or Graham Potter or whoever you've picked out as a realistic option for your team. You can see he's playing a 4-3-3. You might want to try and buy players to suit that system and help him as a manager, as a proper director of football would. You only focus on buying the players, so in this case, you'd go out and do your transfer window. Galano, Phillips, Lucas Perry, Bentancur, like I signed here for this West Ham team. And then once you've done that, you simulate the whole season. You click the home button, you go to my profile, go on holiday. You don't need to tick any of these, let the assistant run away with it. And then the game will simulate with the assistant manager in charge. You might do well, he might not. At the end of the season, you might choose to sack him and sign someone new as the assistant manager, aka the acting manager, whilst you're director of football. You focus on the transfers, it gets you through seasons quicker and offers a different challenge where you're not just thinking about on the pitch stuff, but actually everything else too. Is my manager doing a good enough job? Do I need someone new? What kind of players suit his system? How can I make him as successful as possible? It really does help your FM save feel different and allows you to play it in a totally different way to how you might have before. But I mentioned it wasn't just in-game things that you could do to make your game feel fresh. For my final two, we're going to head out and look at some downloads that you can put on your game to make it feel sometimes a totally different game altogether. But before we do, this is the last time I'll ask you, if you have enjoyed this up to this point, if you've got any use out of it, make sure you smash the like button and let people know what saves you're doing in the comments down below. You might just help give someone an idea for their save, which they can then use, and it's a great little community thing that we can do here for FM Scout. But speaking of the FM Scout community, some of them have came together to create the brilliant FM24 to FM25 DLC. This was originally made when we thought the game was coming out until March. It was a stopgap to help FM24 feel more like FM25. Now, realistically, this FM24 DLC should be called to FM26 because what it gives you is updated squads as they are in real life with the help of the FM transfer update team. But not just that, obviously that is part of it and a big part of it. You get a bunch of files from the Notorious Pro in the same download that includes promotions and relegations, updated competition changes, amongst many other things, but one of my favourites is the new wonderkids by Sir Tavares. So if you want Chido Obi Martin in your save, or players like that we aren't currently getting to use because FM is so outdated that these players don't exist, you can get it with this download. It's super easy to install, we've made a whole video on it before, but pretty simply, you go ahead and you click the button that says download, you'll get a file that's produced and you put it in your editor data folder. When you then start a save, you just make sure them files are all ticked and included, and then when you launch it, you're going to have an FM save that will have Sunderland in the Premier League, Leicester in the Championship, all those kind of updates with new players, new wonderkids, new transfers to accurately reflect as possible where the game is currently and not where it was when FM24 came out. So it's an extra way to make your game feel more fresh, and I know a lot of people will already have used this, but I'm going to suggest it anyway. It's one of the best pieces of content on the FM Scout website, and I think you should all go and download it, and it's made by some brilliant people, the Notorious Pro, Sir Tavares, and the FM Transfer Update team from fmtransferupdate.com combined make a brilliant file. But speaking of the FM Scout website, there are many other things on there, and I mean plenty, created by the community to make FM feel like a whole new game. And this is where I said it can almost feel like something totally new, and it's all about database changes. Now, firstly, if you go to the add-ons page and you go to retro databases, you can get exactly that. You can get a database from previous seasons, whether that is going back to 1994 to 1995, 2007, 2013. There are databases for all this where you can jump in and suddenly Messi is a young player again. You might be using the likes of Del Piero, David Beckham, Zidane, whatever it might be. There's even a 1966 database if you want to go that far back, created by a bunch of different people. This one's Mad Scientist. We've got one by Ico1610 here. Mr. Tiny23 has made this one. Lots of people in the FM community doing what they can to keep this game going, keeping it alive, and the modding community is a huge part of that. But it's not just the retro databases you can use, because if you go onto the actual databases section of the website, you can see there's been some great work done from the modding community. Ones that add some leagues that maybe aren't available in normal Football Manager, like English ones that go down way more divisions than what are currently available in game. There's even this World Super League one I've randomly clicked on here that creates the, as you can imagine, World Super League. There's even some out there that have just invented whole made up nations with its own league system, own sets of players and own rules that you can get involved with. So there's plenty of things like this out there that can help just drag out about FM that little bit longer until we eventually hear, hopefully, some news about a new Football Manager game sometime soon. But for now, hopefully this has helped you guys out. If it has, smash the like button, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.